I rise today in strong support of H.R. 2210. This bill will designate the Department of Veterans Affairs Community Living Center in my hometown of Butler, Pennsylvania, as the Sergeant Joseph George Kusich VA Community Living Center. As so many of you have heard already, but I want you to understand something, and if we can look for a minute outside the people's house into thinking of who we are actually as a people. This is a young guy, 22 years old, at the very beginning of his life, at a time when most of us are looking forward to so many great things happening to us. He put himself in harm's way. Now, when you think of what Sergeant Kusich did, it is incredible that this young man on a hillside in Vietnam, under heavy Viet Cong fire, and being seriously wounded himself, when asked, "You want, listen, Sergeant, get on the helicopter, we can get you out of there," says, "No, because if I leave, my comrades cannot be saved." What an incredible place to put yourself. A 22-year-old who just a couple years earlier was in Butler, Pennsylvania, enjoying all that life has to offer and all the potential of that life, and putting the welfare of others and the safety of others before himself. That is an incredible position to put yourself in. And you've already talked about the medal that Sergeant Kusich was given and what it meant to everybody. But there's just so much about Sergeant Kusich and all of these veterans and all of these folks that have put themselves in harm's way. The one thing that comes out all the time is there's no place quite as unique as the United States of America. There's nothing quite as unique as our men and women in uniform. There's nothing quite as unique as people who are willing to put themselves second and put the lives and safety of others first. That's just not something people normally do. Sergeant Kusich did that on that hillside, seriously wounded, working the radios. He knows if he doesn't stay, the other people don't get extracted. He stays there under heavy enemy fire, watching what's going on, watching the helicopters come in to extract his teammates. And I think of it, all the time, where do people like Sergeant Kusich come from? And you know where they come from? They come from all these small towns and cities across America. And they don't think of themselves as being unique. They don't think of their sacrifice as being exceptional. They don't think of what they have done as being out of the ordinary, because it's just who we are as Americans. You think about these things, and I'm called to bring out something that I've read. And this is in a different war, in a different time. And it's a dedication stone at the Korean War Memorial, not too far from our nation's steps. At the point of the triangle leading to the American flag is a dedication which reads, "Our nation honors her sons and daughters who answered the call to defend a country they never knew and a people they never met." A country they never knew and a people they never met. And they put their life on the line to defend those lives. That is incredible. And I would just suggest to people, you would go around this world and hunt for other people like this, and you will find them, but you will not find them in as great a numbers as you find right here in the United States of America. And so I don't know if Sergeant Kusich was Republican or Democrat. I don't know how he voted. I knew where he grew up because that's where I grew up. I knew who he was because he's from the same area I'm from. And the only difference in all of us may be the town we grew up in or our last name, but the rest of it is all the same. The same blood that coursed through Sergeant Kusich's veins is the same blood that courses through all of our veins. And he was so willing to sacrifice his life to save others. Well, this didn't happen by chance. I got to tell you that what we're doing today to honor Sergeant Kusich it was the work of the American Legion, the disabled American veterans, the veterans of foreign wars, and especially the tireless effort of the 3rd Congressional District Military Veterans Advocacy Group, and my friend, Sergeant Art Greathead, who tirelessly did the research on this. And we ran through all the things we have to run through. And for those folks that don't know, this is not an easy thing to do. This is a hard work to get this done, to honor a hero. But that work was done by all these folks in a way of saying thank you to one of America's fallen heroes. Thank you to one of America's heroes who's been long forgotten in some circles, but not back home. We remember Sergeant Kusich. We honor Sergeant Kusich. We thank him for his sacrifice. And we point to a country that is forever grateful to our women and men in uniform for the great sacrifice that they make. But I want to go back to one other thing. 22 years old. 22, at a time when life is just starting. Never again to be able to celebrate a birthday, never again to celebrate Christmas or Thanksgiving, never again to celebrate a family reunion, but forever lost, but lost for a good reason. He gave his life so that others may survive. The way they were able to identify Sergeant Kusich's remains, by the way, the helicopter he finally got in after everybody else would have been extracted was shot down, went down in flames. There were dog tags on 2 of the remains that were covered. The other body that was recovered did not have a dog tags on, but you know what he had? His radio pack. To the very end, Sergeant Kusich was doing what he was required to do and what he wanted to do. He not only gave his life, but gave up his entire future. So I thank the gentleman, and I will continue to, I don't want to hold our time, but reserve. I can't tell you how much I appreciate this, and I can't tell you how much this means to the people of Butler, Pennsylvania, but more than anything else to Sergeant Kusich for the sacrifice of a life. Thank you so much, and I reserve.
Gentleman reserves. Chair recognizes the gentleman from California.
Mr. Speaker, I associate myself with the remarks of the gentleman from Pennsylvania. Very thankful that you've brought attention of the Congress to Sergeant Kusich's deed on behalf of our nation.